welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and on screen we've got a sequel to a puzzle that we did on the channel a week or so ago. It's by RockyRoer, and the first puzzle was called Bullseye Sudoku, and this one he calls Rings Around The Rosie Sudoku. And RockyRoer, for those of you who don't remember or maybe didn't see that earlier video, is a maths teacher from America, and he also happens to be an outstanding Sudoku constructor. I really enjoyed that first puzzle, and I'm very much looking forward to this one too. Apparently testing reports say this is gorgeous, so it's got quite an unusual rule set as well, so I'll go through that in just a second. I just want to quickly update you. There is still no news on the Android release date for Miracle Sudoku, our new app. I don't know what's going on. Our developer is trying to speak to somebody at Google. You can imagine how difficult that is to do, but as soon as I have news, again, I will tweet about it. @CrypticCracking is our Twitter tag. Now, let me read you the rules of this puzzle. What we've got is normal Sudoku rules apply. The sum of the numbers in each ring will appear in the bolded rectangles. Okay, so that's these dominoes here. These sums are 5 unique prime numbers. Okay, the sum of all 5 ring totals is a palindrome that must appear diagonally in the completed grid. Okay, well, it'll have to appear diagonally because if it's a palindrome, if it appeared in one row or one column, it would repeat a digit, presumably. Right, this is to do with the killer Sudoku cages. Numbers cannot repeat within cages. The cages within each coloured ring sum to the same total, but these totals may differ from ring to ring. Okay, so we saw this in the Bullseye Sudoku as well. So that means if we look at the blue ring, then this cage here will have the same total as this cage here, which will have the same total as this cage here. But whatever, let's say that these all added up to 15, that doesn't mean that this cage has to add up to 15, because obviously this is in a different coloured ring. So do have a go at this yourselves. Click on the link under the video as usual to play, and with that, let's get cracking. Now, I say let's get cracking, I've got to work out how to get cracking. There are no given digits, and right, well, presumably what we have to do first is just try and restrict the prime numbers that might be involved in these rings. So 4 of the rings involve 2 3x3 boxes and then a gap of 4 cells in the middle. So what do 2 whole boxes of a Sudoku add up to? Well, they add up to 90 because each box will contain the digits from 1 to 9. 1 to 9, if you add them up, you get 45. So if we know that the whole of 2 boxes adds up to 90, but the 4 cells that are missing are always, we can't repeat a digit in any of these 4 cells, look, because they're always in the same row or column. So the maximum I could make those 4 cells would be 30 with 6, 7, 8 and 9, and the minimum I could make them would be 10 with 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the prime numbers that go in the dominoes have to lie between 60, so 90 minus 30, and 90 minus 10, 80. So they're somewhere between 60 and 80. Oh, okay, well that gives us a little bit of a start then, doesn't it? Because 60 and 80 are not themselves prime. So these digits here, the tens digits, are going to have to be 6 and 7. We're going to be looking for, obviously the units digit for all of these has to be an odd number, so it's always got to be odd, and it's got to be not have a 5 at the end, because otherwise 5 would be a divisor. So what are the primes we're looking for then? 61, 67, 71, 73 and 79. So there are 5 possible primes for the big rings. This one, just one sec, look, we've got a 6 and a 7 in this row. So 7 can't appear in either of those squares. Now this is already very interesting, look, because now one of these two-digit numbers has to be a number that begins with a 6. But it can't be 67 anymore, so it must be 61. So one of these numbers is 61, which means that number is not 61 and that number is not 61, because all of the prime totals are unique. I feel like that's sort of important, but I can't really see how to use it any further. Maybe let's have a look at this purple box, because yeah, okay, we can do some maths on the purple box. Again, what's the sort of maximum and minimum sum of those highlighted cells? Well, because we're only missing one single digit from the 45 total for the whole box, this purple ring has to sum to a number between 36 and 44 inclusive, but 36 isn't prime. 37 is prime, so this, well, firstly, this digit has to be a 3 or a 4. Let's actually go through the options here. 37 is prime, 39 is not prime. If this was 37, that would be an 8, because obviously 45 minus 8 would give the 37. If it's not 37, it has to be 40 something, and it has to be 41 would work. No, 41 wouldn't work. 41 would not work, because if I do put 41 in here, what do I put in the central square? I've got to put 45 minus 4 to get to 41 as the total for the purples, and that obviously repeats the 4 in the cage or in the box. So 41 is not possible. 43? 43 is possible, because that would make this square a 2. But that means that this number here is either 37 or it's 43. Well, both of those have a 3 in, so that is not a 3, which is completely unhelpful. No, that feels like, again, it's sort of, it's on the cusp of good logic, but it's not quite good logic, is it? It's not. Oh, it is good logic. I just had to take it further. 37, if this is a 7, the puzzle breaks. Because now, what is the prime I put in here? Well, it's got to be a 60 number, and we know it can't be 67 because there's a 7 here, so it would have to be 61. But I know this prime up here also has to be 61 because of the 7, and we know that we can't put, we know whichever number is the 6 here can't be accompanied by a 7 because that is a 6-7 pair. So in fact, this is not 37, we get a digit in the grid. It's got to be 43, we get 3 digits, we get 43, 2 here, 3 can't go down there now. And sorry, just a second, let me just have a think. Can we do something with this cell? Yeah, maybe. These 3 cells sum to 9, so those 6 cells sum to 45 minus 9, which is 36. Yes, this is good. This is, well, at least it's going to get us some restrictions on the boxes. So if these 6 cells have to sum to 36, but these 2 cages have to have an equal total, this square obviously has to be even. So it can't be 2 or 4, so it's got to be 6 or 8. Now, if it's 6, these cells would sum to 30, so this would have to sum to 15 without using 6, so that would be 7 or 8. If this is 8, these have to sum to 14, and this would have to sum to 14 without using 8, so it would be 5 or 9. That's not as good as I was hoping. So the only thing I can see we get from this look is that there must be a 1 in one of those cells, because 1 can't go in these cells. So that's not a 1 anymore. Oh, this is great. Now, if this can't be a 1, can this be a 6? The answer is no, because 63 and 69 are most definitely divisible by 3. So that has to be a 7, I think, which means that's a 6, which means it's 61. So 73 and 79 are both prime. That can't... this digit's a 7 as well. This puzzle, I love this puzzle. This is so... The logic is just really tight but interesting. So the 7 here rules a 7 out from this square. So what do we know now? Well, we know this can't be 61 because we've already put 61 in, and all the primes that we put in have to be unique. So this must now be a 7 number. These squares are... So that 7, 8 is not possible here, therefore. This is brilliant. So now this has to be 5, 9, which means this has to be an 8 because we're looking for 14 totals. 1 comes out of here. This has to be 1, 6, 7 to complete the box. Oh, not quite. I thought that was a triple for a moment, but that's a 9, not a 6. Okay. Okay, so I think we've got a choice now. We're going to have to look at one of the coloured rings, and I think that we have got 2 candidates that are better choices, because this red ring and this blue ring are both, they only have one cell that's not in a cage. If you look at this grey ring, for example, there are 1, 2, 3 cells that are not in cages. This one, 1, 2, 3 cells that are not in cages. So in fact, this one might be the place to start. Or maybe this one, actually, because we know the total more exactly. So there are 3 cages in this set. Oh, no, hang on. I know what I can do here. This is a 61 total. So the blue cells sum to 61, which means to get to 90, those cells have got to sum to 29. Well, there's only one way we can make 29 with 4 cells. That's with 5, 7, 8, and 9. So these squares must be 1, 2, 3, and 4. That... Oh, no. No, that's not going to be any good. So... Right. This cell is now restricted, and it's restricted in an interesting way. Because if there are 3 cages here, I've got to ensure that 61 minus whatever I put in this square is divisible by 3. So, okay, so I can eliminate the 2 and the 3, but not the 4. Obviously 60 is divisible by 3, as is 57. So we know... So if this is a 1, each one of these cages has to be equal to 60 divided by 3, so it's got to be equal to 20. Which is very restrictive, look, on column 9, because if this cell, this whole cage adds to 20, 20 plus 1 is 21, those cells would have to add up to 24. And there's only one way you can do that. That would have to be 7, 8, 9. Oh, well, that's it, because... Yeah, if this is 4, these blues, the rest of the blue cells have to sum to 57. 57 divided by 3 is 19. If this cage sums to 19, column 9 is broken. 19 plus 1 is 20. Those 3 cells would have to sum to 25. Not possible. So this has to be 1. Oh, that's going to be great, because now this has to be 7, 8, 9. This is 2, 3, 4, so this has to be 1, 5, 6. And can we do more? So these cages sum to 20 now, so this cage sums to 20. So those sum to 13. This sums to 20. There's probably a restriction there I can work on, but it's certainly not a simple restriction. Apologies, 1 second while I just mull this over for a moment or two. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'm going to have a look at the red ring. The red ring, the reason I was quite intrigued by it to start with is, look, whatever I put into this this sum here, it almost completes a cage. In fact, this cell is in and of itself quite restricted, look, because it sees 1, 6, 7 in the row, and it sees 4, 5, 7 and 9 in the column. So this can only be, it can be a 2 and it can be a 3 and it can be an 8. I don't think it can be anything else. So if this is, yeah, this is quite interesting actually. If this is a 9, this gets very cluttered very quickly, because 79, the minimum I could make these 3 cells add up to now is 18. And I've got 4 different cages here. So those 4, well, those cells I've just highlighted have to add up to 4 times 18. That doesn't work, because 4 times 18 is 72. And that would mean in order to make the red ring add up to 79, I'd have to put a 7 here, which doesn't work. So 79 doesn't work. 70, if I put an 8 in here, that clearly doesn't work, because that would make this cage 7, 8, 9, 24. This 3-cell cage would have to also equal 24, and I couldn't put 7, 8, 9 in the same box. So can 3 work here? That would be 19... Sorry, there's a plane going by very low over my house. So if this was 7, 9 and this was 3, 38, 76. No, that doesn't work either. That would have to repeat the 3. If we go 7, 9 and 3, that's 19. 4 lots of 19 are 76. So this square would have to be 79 minus 76. It would have to be 3. That does not work. We are not allowed to do that in Sudoku. So actually we can say with certainty this is not 79. This is 73, which means the options for this square just got even narrower. So let's think about this now. Oh, now it's going to be the other way round. If this is 2, we're not going to get enough. If that's a 2, that only adds up to 12. 12 times 4 is 48. That square would have to equal 25. That's not possible. That is not possible. Not even close. So this must be 8. Oh, so this becomes 18 again. Oh, but it becomes 18 with a different total here. So that does work. Right, okay, I see. So we've got 18 times 4 is 72. So this square's got to equal 1 to bring us up to the total. So 73... 1 is not clashing here. This looks good. So now, yeah, look, we can do lots of maths on this now. If this is 73, those squares add up to 17 to get to 90. But these 2 squares, if this is 18 and this is 18, that's 36. And this is 137. These 2 squares have to add up to 8, and they can't use 1, 7 or 3, 5, so this is a 2, 6 pair. So these squares now have got to be 4, 5 and 9 to complete that box, and these 2 squares, what did they had to be 17, so if that's 8, these have to add up to 9. So, if they have to add up to 9, they've either got to be 1, 8 or 4, 5. Ah, but it can't be 4, 5 because there's going to have to, in the top row, we've not placed 4 or 5 yet. So there's going to have to be a 4 or a 5 or both in one of those positions. So this is actually going to be 1, 8. Okay. So that removes an 8 from this square. And what more can we do? We've got... So now I've used 73 up. I've used 43 up. But I don't yet know... Oh, no, hang on. I've got an easy win. Easy win in the top row. I can use the fact this adds to 18. That's a 3-cell cage. That adds up to 18. That's 36. The whole row adds up to 45. So those 3 squares have to sum up to 9. That square's got to be a 2. So there's a 2 down here by sudoku. Those 3 squares are 4, 5 and 9 to complete the row. And okay, sorry, I'm just trying to see if there's any more geometry we can use here. These, what did these have to add up to? 20, didn't they? So this is now adding up to 9, so this has to add up to 11 without using 5, 6 or 2, 9. So this is 3, 8 or 4, 7. Not sure. But it does mean, where does 9 go in this column? It's got to be in one of those 3 cells, which means there's no 9 in one of those 2 cells. So there is a 9 in one of these 2 cells, which is also unhelpful. Oh dear. Right, okay, let's have another think. So we've got... Oh, I know what I can do. I know what I can do. These 5 cells sum to a palindrome. So what have we got here? We've got... Yeah, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. This, I don't care whether it's a 6 or a 7. The total for these 4 cells is 240 something. I don't know what, it might even be 250 something, but the key point is that once I add 60 something to 240 something, I get a number that is higher than 300. So, is that plane again? So if I get a number that's higher than 300, the palindrome is going to be 3x3. Now, why does that matter? Well, that means that these cells, the unit digits here, have to add up to a number that ends in 3. Now they add up to 7, so these either have to add up to 6 to get to 13 or 16 to get to 23. Well, 6 does not work, and 16 does work. 16 does work, but only if that square is a 7. So this has to be a 7. That has to be a 9. This has to be a 6. We have got unique primes, and oh, there's all sorts of things going on now. I mean, for example, if the green ring sums to 79, those squares must sum up to 11 to equal 90. Well, that means they have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this definitely can't be a 6. That definitely can't be a 4. This has to be a 1 or a 5 because it can't be a 2 or a 3. So we get a sort of weird pair of pairs along there. That's one of the things we get, but also actually that gives us an 8 here before I go on to anything else. Let's deal with things that I can see quickly. 9 can't go here. This column needs 1, 4 and 5. This column needs 3 and 6 into those squares. Now, so in this cage here, we've already got 16 plus whatever we put in this cage, and we need 79 overall, which is going to include these 3 squares. So if this was 1, we'd have 17. Oh. No, that doesn't work. If this is 1, this cage adds to 17. There are only 3 cages in the green ring. So that these cages would add to 51. Now we need to get to 79 once we add those 3 squares in. But you can't make 3 squares add up to 28. So that's just not 1. Which means 1 is here, which means 5 is here. So the other options, therefore, we've got, if this was 20, we'd have 60. These would have to add up to 19. That's completely possible, because we could use 7 and 4 or 9 and 2. If this is 21, we'd have 63. These would need to add up to 16. Ah, that doesn't work, because this one can't be a 1, so this is fine. This square has to be a 4 in order to make sure this is a achievable total. So the 4 is removed from there. That plonks a 4 down here. Now that's beautiful, because that's going to give us this digit. Because now we know these have to add up to, I think it was 19, wasn't it? So we've got, this has to be 7. That's 9. These 3 squares now have to add up to 20. So that can't be a 1. That's got to be a 6. That's got to be a 5. This is a 1. That's a 2, because there's a 3, 6 there. 3, 2, 10. That should be an 8. And that's working both for a cage and for the box. So that feels like that's probably correct. Now, what next? What a great puzzle, though. This is just so... I mean, the elegance of it. The way these rings, these coloured rings look. The no digits in the grid. And the fact that it's actually, you know, a beautiful puzzle. That 3, 6. It's all good stuff. So now, what can we do? Ah, they've got to be 1, 2 and 3 to complete that row. They've got to be 5, 6 and 7 to complete that row. So they must be 4, 8 and 9. Sorry about this, 1 second. So I've got 67 here, so these squares have got to add up to 23. 23 is not an auspicious total for 4 cells, so I'm not really sure what to do with that. That can't be a 6, that can't be a 7. What was the other rule? I had to put something in the grid. No, what was it? A palindrome. Hang on, yes. The sum of all 5 ring totals is a palindrome that must appear diagonally in the completed grid. So, what have we got here? We've got 7, 6, 7, 6. That's the plane again. 300. Yeah, so we've got 323. Has got to appear diagonally in this grid. So let's start at the top. That can't be 3, 2, 3 because the 2 would have to go there, and there's already a 2 here. So in this row, can we put 3, 2? Oh no, we can't. I thought we could put it here, but 3, 2, 3 would clash with that 3. 3. This can't be a 3, and this can't be a 3 because we couldn't put a 2 anywhere on the diagonals. So that's quite interesting already, actually. We can't put a 2 beneath any of those squares. or any of those squares in row 3. So row 3 is ruled out. This one can't have a 2 on the diagonal beneath it because it's already got a 2 orthogonally beneath it. That can't be a 3. That can be... Oh, that one. This one might be useful. 3, 2, 3. Does that work? So that's possible. This square doesn't work. That square and that square don't work. This can't have a 2 beneath it. This can't have a 2 beneath it. This can't have a 2 beneath it. This can have a 2 beneath it, but not then a 3, and this one hasn't got a 3 here. So unless I've already put this palindrome in, which I haven't, there is only one place in this grid to put 3, 3, 2, 3 on a diagonal. It's here. This is a 3. This is a 2. Oh, that doesn't get me anything. Well, it gets me. I can remove 3 and 2 from those two positions. Oh, 6, 7 here means this is a 1. Sorry, I should have seen that before. 2 can be placed by Sudoku here. So 5, 8, 9 into those squares. That can't be 5. 67 here. These cells have to sum up to 23. Okay, so with the 3 here, these cells have to sum up to 20. Right, so what are the options for this cell? This can't be 1, 2 or 3, but it can be 4, it can be 5, I think. It can't be 6 or 7 or 8, so this square is restricted. Right, right, so this is where we need to look actually, because look, how do we get those 3 squares to equal 20? Well, the first question I ask in situations like this is it possible to make 20 without using the 9? So let's try and do it. We can put 8 in, but then the other 2 cells will have to add up to 12, and that it does not work. So we now know there's a 9 in here, therefore the other 2 cells have to add up to 11, without repeating the 9, without using 3, 8, without using 4, 7. So the only way this works is with 5, 6 and 9, and there is only one 6 there. So this is a 6. There's only one 5 left. That's a 5. This is a 9. The 5 and the 9 get resolved there. This square can't be a 5 anymore. So now 5 in row 4 is forced to be here. 9 can't be here or here. 6 can't be there. So this feels like... Well, that feels like it's important, doesn't it? But has it actually broken the puzzle open for us? I hope it has, but I can't see how. Maybe this row? We need 3, 4, 6 and 7. Yeah, look, that square's a naked single. It's got 3, 6, 7 in its box. So that must be a 4. That fixes the 4 and the 8. So 4 must be here. 8 must be in one of those 2 cells. Now the 8 in one of these 2 cells is rather nice because that fixes the 8 and the 1. That 1 fixes that square. Now look at this column. We need to put 1 and 2 into it. Well, this square sees that 1, so that must be 2. That must be 1, that must be 2. 1 must be here by Sudoku. This is an 8, 9 pair. That means this square's a 5, that's a 9. The 5 fixes the 5 and the 7. This should be a 6 to complete that column. And those two squares there need to be 3 and 7 to complete the box. Not 3 and 8, 3 and 7. 4 fixes the 5 here, and I think we might be closing in on a solution. Now, so maybe this row, we still need to place 3, 6 and 7. So this square's a 3 or a 6. This that square's not 9 anymore. In fact, that square's got to be 3 or 7. One second while I try and spot something useful here. 8, 9, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4 has got to be in one of those two squares. So perhaps I've got to... I'm trying to think what I haven't used. Is it this box again? So those 3 squares there have got to sum up to, what was it, 20. So, I'm not sure if that's actually going to be the easiest way of doing that. 3 looks possible. If that was 3, 8, 9, that would be 4, 7. 3, 8, 9, 7. Ah! Oh, there must be an easy way of doing this. Sorry, let me just stare at this for a second. 6 must be in one of these two squares. Oh, oh! It's not, it's this one. Look at this. This is gorgeous again. If I focus on the grey ring, I now know the totals for each of the cages. So this little cage here, which is sort of easy to miss because I was looking at that cage more, it looks more prominent, has to add up to 16. So this square's got to be a 9, and that might be helpful. Well, yeah, look, it is. It's cracking everything. 9, 4. This 7 fixes the 7 and the 6. That fixes the 6 has got to go down there. This is 3. So this is 8 and 9, and we now know the order. It's got to be like that. This has got to be 4 and 7. We know the order. That 7 fixes the 7 and the 3. That must bounce back over here and give us a 5. And if I haven't made an error, I should be able to put a 4 in there. I'm just checking, scanning. It looks good. Check. That's how to solve it. Brilliant. RockyRoer, I have to say, the last 2 puzzles of yours have been a real pleasure. And I hope everyone watching tried the puzzle and got as much joy out of it as I did. Let me know in the comments. I do read them, and we'll be back later on with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.